to be observing, I hate this. A lot. I mean, I'm doing my lit review and I'm going in the refrigerator and eating, and I'm going outside and pulling weeds, and I should be doing my lit review. Why is that? Because I'm so averse to this. And it just really, and then you can try to let go of aversion.
Yeah.
But I think it's a real exercise in, I hate this, I hate this, I love this part, why can't they do more of this, I hate this, I hate this,
Right.
I hate this, I hate this.
Yeah. And I think that's probably true for everything that we do.
Right.
Not just a PhD program. A PhD program probably is a heightened sense of that. But pretty much whatever your job is, whatever you're doing, there's going to be parts that you hate and parts that you like. And you're going to want more of the parts you like and less of the parts you hate. And you always have an opportunity to see how that wanting more of or wanting that less of is creating your stress. So any more questions or comments about either the sound meditation or anything else? Yeah.
Can you say again what the goal of insight meditation
Yeah,
is?
yeah.
So like what was I?
When we bring mindfulness to all of our experiences, we start to notice a lot of things. One of the things we notice is the thing that I'm saying, how the wanting and the not wanting is going on constantly, and that we're reacting constantly to the wanting and the not wanting. And we actually start to notice how our minds are creating our own suffering. That becomes an insight that you get for yourself. That, wow, I'm creating my own suffering here. I'm letting this story go on and on and on and on. And if I just stop believing in this story, I'm free. You know? You didn't need surgery on your foot, I'm guessing.
No.
Right? You know, but for 10 steps,
Right.
your life was over.
Amputation.
Yeah. And so, because she was meditating and practicing, she could see, I just created a lot of suffering for myself that was completely useless and a waste of time. You see all the ways that wanting and not wanting show up. You see the ways that confusion show up. You see the ways that you react to certain things, and you start to learn. And what I'm starting to find now, after all these years, is that I don't have to try to change anything. That wisdom develops. That seeing things clearly enough reprograms my mind. So that after maybe another 12 or 1,200 more times that I have that reaction to my pain, that it's going to be like this forever and I sink into a depression even for a moment, my mind notices it. So since that retreat, I have seen that happen again. But the second it happens, I see it. And I catch it. And I don't go into a depression. And I think, how many times have I gone into hours of depression because I was hurting and feeling sorry for myself or thinking hopeless thoughts? Whereas the pain is not really enough to make me feel terrible. It's just a sensation that I don't like that much. So what? You know? But because I have insight into what my mind is doing about the pain, I can intervene and make a change. But I'm not doing it. It's just happening. Like I see the mind wanting to go there, and then the mind has already learned going there makes you unhappy, and it lets it go. And probably after, I kid, about 12 or 1,200, but somewhere in that range, it's going to stop happening. My mind is no longer going to feel pain and think those thoughts. And it's just going to happen through insight. My mind is going to relearn how to be with pain in a way that's not producing suffering. And I see it happening already.
What if the pain is always there? I mean, what if you live with chronic pain? It's harder to detach from that story when it's...
Right. again, it all comes down to wanting or not wanting. So if I don't want the pain to be there, then I'm creating extra suffering on top of the pain. Now, there's always going to be a certain amount of suffering in life. You're going to lose people that you love. You're going to have pain. You're going to be sick. You're going to lose jobs. You know, there are going to be things that are distressing. We can't do anything about that. But what we can do something about is not adding any more suffering onto it. So if you're aware of pain and you have an attitude toward it that says, okay, this is how it is. Not, damn it, why is it this way? You severely reduce the amount of suffering that you have. And you might actually find, as I have, that the actual pain gets less when the mind is not aversive to it. Kind of like the example that Andy gave, when, based on what she said, that when your mind starts to think, okay, the pain is under control now, I've taken something, it's going to be fine, there's an ease around it, and then the pain doesn't need to be there anymore. And I used to have severe chronic pain years ago, and that's how I got into mindfulness, was I was watching the pain, and I was starting to notice how fearful I would get, and the stories that I would tell. And I believed that I was going to end up in a wheelchair. I believed that I was going to be paralyzed. I was becoming increasingly difficult for me to walk, to move, to function, to sleep, everything. And as I started to notice the reactivity of fear and story to my pain, I started to cultivate mindfulness. I hadn't been taught anything about meditation or any of that, but I got to a place where I was just watching the pain and becoming interested in it. Basically, I was meditating. I didn't realize that's what I was doing. And as I watched the pain and became interested in it, I could see how when I would have a fear reaction, the pain would get worse. And when I'd have a story reaction, the pain would get worse. And as I watched it and watched it and watched it, the fears and the stories became less and less. And eventually, not just because of that, but also other things that I was doing, I totally lost my pain completely. But as long as I was living in the fear place and in the